Oh,
All right,
God.
so it was released last week. I know that it's not completely or technically final, but it's going this way. The college football playoff is expanding to 14 teams. I got to admit, it's a complete joke to me. I don't understand why every single week during the offseason, Joe, we've done the show for 2 years now. Okay, every single week during the offseason, you and I come out here and are happy-go-lucky. We want to talk about college football, yet the suits of this sport make a completely asinine situation. Joe, I went and made a list of this. Here are some things that college football fans didn't ask for. You ready? An expanded playoff to 12 teams, an expanded playoff to 14 teams, a running clock, a 2-minute warning. I'm going to say, you can tell me on this next one that, yeah, maybe they did, but radios and helmets. Okay, I don't think fans were really asking about that, but with the Michigan stuff, I'll digress. I even put it in there. But, Joe, we didn't ask for different portal windows. We didn't ask for different recruiting windows. I know that coaches did. We didn't ask that hotel rooms couldn't be decorated on official or unofficial visits. Joe, every single week we come in here and we have a discussion about something changing in college football that quite honestly is asinine. I understand the 2-minute warning, but last year you told me that the running clock that college football was going to have was to reduce the timing of the game, only for you to add 2 5-minute timeouts and a 2-minute warning. Now, when most people, okay, are telling the suits 12 teams cannot win a national title on any given year. We're going to talk about Cinderella teams. I don't believe that any of my Cinderella teams can win. But the bottom line is why the only reason that this continues to change. I know we're talking about revenue share and it's trying to get us in a certain direction of college sports. You can do all of that by not expanding to 14 teams, because I will tell you, Joe, there's not 6 on a given year that can win it, much less 14 that can. I just look at all this and say to myself, we're going to continue to have off seasons where we have asinine-ass moves. This is one of them, expanding to 14 teams.
Some might perceive this as a warning, but as you're talking,
what?
Well, let me get to what I was going to say. This is, as you're talking about, there's suits that are controlling these decisions. It's not like the NFL where we have a face and we know that the owners are the ones who are driving the decision making. We all perceive and guess who we think is leading the discussion in these changes. It's university presidents. It is executives at these broadcasting networks. There are a lot of hands in the pot, and I think that's why the direction is so erratic and inconsistent. But the warning I'm referring to, Blake, is just wait until private equity does find a way to have a hand in the future of college football. It has been discussed as being something that is influencing Florida State's decision-making. And I have to be fair here. I don't honestly know enough about this, and it has not been reported on enough to really be able to cover the scope of this. But all I'm saying, and why I said this could be perceived as a warning, is that if private equity, if these massive equity firms that want to find ways to turn college football into a more profitable business, it does well, but there's a lot more money to be made. How are they going to eventually influence it? I'm curious as to which school is going to be the first one to break that seal and decides to go all in and say, screw it, we're going to trust this alumni who works for this or owns this private equity firm, and he's going to change the direction of our program. And once that happens, the floodgates will be open, and every program is going to try and find their own sort of private funding to help their teams.
Here's the problem with that. Okay, I understand what you're saying. The problem is that most public universities and state universities are publicly state funded and federally funded. It can't be private equity.
Well, then how has Florida State's been discussed as being involved with them.
Well, it's also the same argument of a collective bargaining agreement, right? I talked to a legislature here in Louisiana last week, and I'll just give some cliff notes of our conversation. I asked him if a collective bargaining agreement could happen in college football, and he laughed at me. He legitimately laughed, mainly due to the fact that you have state and federal government that has to approve all of this. Title IX is still an issue. Joe,
Yeah.
if you do a collective bargaining agreement, every university in the country violates Title IX.
Well, that's why I bring up that when we talk about this stuff, it's not getting changed anytime soon. It's
That
just
was
not
my
because it
point.
requires too much political intervention.
That was my point in reference to, okay, the Tennessee stuff. Everybody said, well, it's got to be torn down before it gets better. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm going to throw up if I got to talk about that again.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
But my only point was, Joe, that what you just said in 5 words is exactly what I tried to mention 2 months or a month ago, okay? The point that I'm trying to make here with the expanded playoff, okay? I can't believe that this is my life, where it's something that nobody wants, but our job, me and your job, what we get paid to come out here and do every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday is we got to talk about this stupid crap. Joe, please how does this make any sense? Please tell me how 14 teams makes any sense.
It doesn't. For entertainment, that's why. Because they want more. They want, and I don't know who they is. I have to reiterate that here. I don't know who they is, but they want more sellable, packageable, advertisable content. That's the world that we live in. A lot of these, we talk about the media entities that control a lot of this decision making. They're hurting. A lot of these companies are hurting because they don't know how to pivot in the modern media world. There are so many people that are getting hired and fired left and right because they don't know how to manage TV. They don't know how to manage streaming. It is a cluster F. So for that reason, they know where the money's a guarantee, which is football games, college football games.
You know what's funny? I really think you just hit the nail on the head there. I think that the take that you just had might be the best take about college football that's ever been said.
Thank you. You flatter me.
Well, I'm not trying to flatter you. You got a girlfriend for that. But it's funny. I hadn't really thought about that until you just said that. I hadn't really thought about ESPN laying off like, God dog it, who was on college? David Pollack.
Yeah.
For Pat McAfee. All these people that are getting fired for no reason. I do think it's interesting you bring up, well, ESPN's got to they got to make money somehow, because it's been widely reported that Disney might be selling ESPN to somebody.
I don't know the possibility of that happening, but the other part of this too.
The worldwide leader's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The other part is too big to fail.
It has the potential to make too much money for Disney to bail on it. But the other part of this, not only do they not know how to properly determine the new direction of consumable linear media. I know that we're getting really in the weeds when we say shit like that. But on top of this, it's getting more and more expensive for them to own the rights for the MLB and the NBA. I mean, one of the things that's been a not so what?
Cut the NBA.
But so what I'm trying to
women's college basketball beating LeBron James prime time, dude.
But this is why they keep reinvesting in college and trying to find new ways to invest in college, is because it's eventually getting too expensive. And it's like a very quietly known issue that these companies that pay for the rights for the NBA and the MLB are like, you guys are getting too expensive for us. We can't afford this. Like, if you really want to take it elsewhere, you can, but we can't make any money if you're going to charge us as much as you're expecting. But college football hasn't gotten to that spot yet.
Did you see the report that Fox was going to do a TV revenue share with Caitlin Clark of Iowa?
No, I didn't see that.
They were trying to do a TV revenue share with her, okay, to keep her in college or women's college basketball. Interesting time.
Stay next year, you're saying?
Yeah, for next year, because she announced she was going to the WNBA. You know why they're doing that, huh? Because she's driving freaking ratings. You're right. That's all what it's about, okay? It's about more money. And I hate it because, Joe, look, man, we've had discussions about other things about what we would talk or could talk about on this show. But the bottom line is we're a college football show. And I will never in my life love a sport more than I love college football. College baseball is really up there for me, I will admit. but it's just every single week we got a dumb decision. Now, let me ask you this.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts.